Anyone can win if people vote for them. So yes, he has absolutely a chance to win. And as you said, every candidate starts out with a good 45%, and then it's a matter of the rest. The challenge for President Biden is that on the facts, the economy is far better now than it was under Donald Trump, who failed in his one job: react to a crisis. As president, you're a crisis manager. He was hit with one big crisis, the pandemic, and flubbed it so thoroughly we were at 14% unemployment. Yet people, I hear people
died because
and 1 million people died. Not even some people, 1 million people died because of him. And yet you have people saying, I had more money, I was richer under Trump. Not true, not possible. And the fact that he overcame his own objection to the stimmy, signed a bill Democrats passed to give you a stimmy, then took credit for the stimmy by putting a letter in the thing when you got the stimmy that said, you're welcome, Donald Trump, even though he was against the stimmy. And now you got people in the street saying, well, Trump gave me a stimmy. No, he didn't. Nancy Pelosi gave you a stimmy.
Did he finish the wall?
Did not build a wall, which is why there's barbed wire at the border, because it's water. You can't build a wall over water. It's a whole Rio Grande. You can't build a wall over that. So he can't build a wall. None of it was true. Yet people, they had this mismemory of the Trump era as this great era. It was the opposite.
All right, guys. So we got to do a follow-up video on the viral video of Joy Reid dropping an F-bomb while also dropping a truth bomb as well, too. In which she was caught on a hot mic telling the truth about the Biden administration trying to start another war, or so it seems, right? We think that that's what she was talking about, that she was trashing Joe Biden. However, there's speculation as to whether or not Joy Reid was actually talking about Texas Governor Greg Abbott starting a war because he is ignoring the Biden administration trying to cut razor wire at the border because the Biden administration doesn't really want to secure the border, okay? They want to help illegals come into the country. Texas is saying, no, we don't want to do that. The Supreme Court has kind of sort of got involved in regards to Texas being able to stop the feds from cutting the razor wire. Texas is not necessarily playing along with that. And a lot of people speculating that, hey, that could cause a civil war. So I personally think there was a few scenarios that Joy Reid could have been talking about in that clip. And now she's actually coming out and giving some clarification in regards to what she was talking about. Was she actually trashing her Lord and Savior, white liberal man, Joe Biden, or was she talking about something else? Possibly what's going on with the border. And she was confronted on this by the cackling hens on The View. And I want to go ahead and play the clip in which she answers this question about what or who she was talking about, except she really actually doesn't answer the question, but the non-answer should really tell you everything you need to know in regards to who she actually was talking about. Take a look.
Over the weekend, President Biden said he's ready to take action if Congress is serious about solving the border issue.
If that bill were the law today, I'd shut down the border right now and fix it quickly. And Congress needs to get it done.
Starting another fucking war.
To ask you, because we, as people that wear microphones every day, we can relate to this. But last week you had a hot mic moment that got some attention. Let's just say you used some colorful language. Who doesn't?
Not me. I'm a Christian.
But yeah, but it seems like you were criticizing President Biden for starting another war. I don't think you're alone in concerns of that, but is that true? Like, what was behind this?
Well, I'm going to hit that with a cute no comment. No, but what I'm going to say is I am a person that I'm a study war no more kind of Christian. I'm a red letter Christian. I don't believe in war, whether it is the governor of Texas literally trying to start another civil war over an issue that his party could solve tomorrow. There's literally a bill that they just could pass, right, and do the border security issue. Or whether it's in the Middle East. I was deeply against the Iraq War. I'm an anti-war person. And so, you know, I don't want to say that there's any side that is specifically to blame here. But I think the idea, I think for most Americans, we're war weary. I think we're all weary of conflict, and we would like to see us progress economically, socially, try to bring this country back from the brink of racial hatred. Let's not do war at all.
Yeah. Okay. Let's not kill people.
Let's not kill people.
And I mean, what's happening in Gaza has shaken everyone. Like, let's not do that.
And if you find that war is happening, at least let us know who's gotten hit, because I haven't heard very much about the 3 young people who lost their lives that night. And I want to hear more. But we'll have more with Joy Reid when we come back.
Yeah, so you see now, you heard that. Okay, so Joy Reid basically confirmed that she was, in fact, talking about Joe Biden. Okay, and I know some people are like, Greg, what are you talking about? She didn't say that. Well, she did not say that, okay? And the fact that she did not say that tells you everything you need to know about who she actually was directing it towards, okay? Because in a situation like that, okay, you guys got to understand, Joy Reid is a part of the mainstream liberal media. Their job is to manufacture consent. So therefore, she cannot speak out against her Lord and Savior, Joe Biden, directly, even though clearly and obviously she does not agree with Joe Biden and his foreign policy, specifically regards to what's going on with Israel and Gaza. It is very clear where she stands on that issue. In the context of Americans being killed by a drone strike that the Biden administration was considering retaliating against at the time, I think they actually did retaliate. She gets caught on hot mic basically saying, well, you're going to start another effing war, okay? If she did not mean Joe Biden in regards to who she was talking about, she could have just said, no, I wasn't talking about Joe Biden. I was talking about what's happening at the border. Joe Biden was talking about the border, and I was commenting on that clip in which Joe Biden was talking about the border and the fact that Texas Governor Greg Abbott is going to start a civil war because of him ignoring the Supreme Court and not letting the Biden administration have completely open borders. That's all she had to say, right? That's literally what she could have said. She could have been very specific. The fact that she wasn't very specific, even though she did name drop the Texas governor in order to deflect from who she was really talking about, Joe Biden, she still went on to say that, well, I'm against all war, including in the Middle East, right? I just don't want to do war, period, because I am a Christian, which, hey, people can have their own debate in the comment section about Joy Reid claiming to be a Christian, but this is what she said, right? I'm a Christian, so therefore I'm against all war. Well, why would you even bring that up? If you weren't talking about Joe Biden, why would you have to bring that up? It's because she was talking about Joe Biden, right? That's exactly who she was talking about, right? When she says, well, I'm against all war, instead of just leaving it at the border, she could have been very specific about what she was talking about. The fact that she left it open to interpretation tells you everything you need to know. It's kind of a wink and a nod to, yeah, I'm talking about Joe Biden, but I can't come out here and really criticize my Lord and Savior because my job is to push Trump deranged propaganda on my network, which is what she did on The View. As you guys saw at the beginning of the video, Joy Reid is telling revisionist history about what happened during the pandemic and trying to blame Trump for all of the people dying in these liberal states that decided to shut down, even though Trump was encouraging them to stay open. She tries to blame Trump for unemployment, which again was a result of Democrats shutting down their states and refusing to open up. Okay, they were straight up laying people off. Democrats were also responsible for people losing their jobs because they refused to take a vaccine. Okay, Democrats are responsible for all the things she's trying to blame Trump for, in which Trump, had nothing to do with all these people dying whatsoever. But she tries to blame Trump for it. She also goes on to make the insane statement that the economy today is better than it ever was under Trump. And again, that's just not true, right? It's just not true. People objectively feel poor due to mass inflation caused by the Biden administration and their policies, the insane government spending that did come during the pandemic that Democrats decided to pour gas on the fire because they wanted their own massive stimulus package, even though we didn't need it. And also the Inflation Reduction Act, or the so-called Inflation Reduction Act, which actually really increased inflation. Yeah, because of Democrat policies, Joe Biden policies, people's money has become less valuable, right? People can't buy as many goods or services as they could under Trump. And that is why literally all of the polls show that people trust Trump when it comes to the economy more than Biden. Again, isn't it amazing how these elitists always show you time and time and time again how they are just simply disconnected from the reality that the normal working class American citizens are in? Ain't it amazing? People like Joy Reid, who's a millionaire, always boohoo, whining, crying, racism, victimhood, talking about we need to socially progress, which we don't. We actually need to go backwards, okay? That's what we actually need to do on the social front. We don't need to progress economically either, because what they mean by progress economically, what they mean is give more handouts, spend more money. This is what they actually mean when they say that. And when they mean social progression, they mean become more woke. We don't need to do any of that. We need to actually regress on some of these issues. But you have elitist Joy Reid playing revisionist history with the economy, pretending like Biden's economy is better than Trump's economy when there's no polls that show that that is what the American people think. It might be better for the rich, okay? Biden's economy might be better for the rich, but it damn sure is not better for the working class, which is funny because Democrats claim to be the party for the poor and the working class and that Republicans are the party of the rich, except literally you have rich people on national television telling you how the economy is great while the working class and the poor are telling you that the economy's bad and that things were much better under Trump, who apparently, according to Democrats and progressives like Joy Reid, he was all about making the rich richer and screw the poor. Isn't it amazing how the narrative from the mainstream liberal media is always the exact opposite of reality, right? It's amazing how that works because these people are not truth tellers. They don't care about facts. They are trying to manufacture consent. That is why Joy Reid is afraid to grow some cojones and to come out here and to be truthful about who she was actually talking about or what she was actually talking about when she got caught on hot mic criticizing her Lord and Savior, Joe Biden, with what she actually really believed.
And given these bombings are being done using our tax dollars, perhaps we should ask some questions. For example, how does bombing a densely populated land strip filled 50% with children constitute self-defense? How does bombing hospitals, churches, mosques, and UN schools constitute self-defense? Well, you say if Hamas fighters are hiding in the hospital using the civilians as human shields, okay, let's say they are. Are you arguing that flattening the hospital and killing newborns in their incubators and their moms in the NICU, cancer patients, someone with a broken leg, the doctors, nurses, and just the women and kids hiding in the hospital, that's not a war crime? Because you would be wrong, according to international law.
Let me ask you this question. If you were to discover, the Israeli military were to discover that Yahya Sinwar, who is the Hamas militant who planned the 10/7 attacks, was actually hiding in Israeli territory, hiding in a hospital there with his militants, with his men, would Israel drop 2,000-pound bombs on that hospital?
No, we'd probably, if it was inside Israel and we had control of the ground, we'd send in our special forces, as we have in the past when you've got sort of terrorist situations, and we would eliminate him. And we have now.
And you would not do that in Gaza?
We have we have sent ground forces into Gaza. We're losing soldiers in very difficult firefights between us and the Hamas terrorists. We will reach Sinwar. It's only a matter of time.
Because she is a progressive, and progressives believe that Joe Biden and his support of Israel is going to drag us into another war. This is what they believe. In fact, even the Biden administration apparently believes the same thing, okay? Because apparently behind closed doors, Biden is talking all types of junk about Netanyahu, okay? He's saying that Netanyahu is a bad effing guy. And Biden's upset because he's basically blaming Netanyahu for him losing support from the far left. So let's read this report from Politico that basically is exposing Joe Biden, trashing Netanyahu because Joe Biden's losing support over what's going on in Israel and Palestine. So here's right here. A report from Politico on Sunday revealed that President Joe Biden privately said Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu is a bad effing guy. Politico's Jonathan Martin wrote a Sunday column detailing how U.S. support for Israel amid the Gaza conflict with Hamas is costing Biden millions of votes with young liberals in the upcoming 2024 general election. The columnist then revealed that unnamed sources have told him Biden is, quote, deeply suspicious of Netanyahu and has referred to him as a bad effing guy in private. The White House firmly denied this statement after the Sunday column was published. Quote, the president did not say that, nor would he, Biden spokesperson Andrew Bates told Politico, adding Biden and Netanyahu have, quote, a decades-long relationship that is respectful in public and in private. Martin then claimed Biden is afraid that Netanyahu is looking to drag the U.S. into a wider war in the Middle East that will ensure Israel receives American weaponry and consistent financial aid. Biden's deep-seated fear that Netanyahu is eager to drag the U.S. into a wider war in the Middle East, a conflict that would ensure American weapons keep flowing to the region, troops soon follow, and in the maelstrom, international pressure on him to agree to a Gaza ceasefire and his domestic political difficulties both dissipate. Yeah, so what you have here, okay, is generally speaking, on the left, right? People like Joy Reid, their criticism of Biden is that, well, you're supporting Israel too much, okay? If you keep giving Israel money and aid, then they're going to continue this attack in Gaza, right? In which, you know, a lot of people say it's self-defense, okay? So they're going to continue to defend themselves in Gaza, right? This is what people say, okay? That's their side of the story. And if this continues, then we can be dragged into a larger war. Now, again, what you have happening is that you have a bunch of Islamic extremists that are pissed off about what's happening in Gaza, okay? And this is why they are attacking American troops in the Middle East who are there like sitting ducks. They're attacking them because they see the U.S. as being responsible for what's happening with Israel and Palestine, because we give Israel aid. We give them weapons. We basically fund the war, okay? And that's why they're pissed off, okay? They're pissed off. Iran is aligned with these Islamic extremists, the Houthi rebels, Hamas, Hezbollah. Again, a lot of people on the left, okay, they do see Joe Biden retaliating against the Islamic extremists, essentially on behalf of Israel in this war as escalation, okay? And they believe that if Biden stops funding Israel, then Israel will have to stop what is happening in Gaza, and then that will make things in the region calm down, okay? So when Joy Reid comes out here and says that, hey, I'm against all war, but doesn't specifically name drop Joe Biden, that's essentially what she's really trying to say, but she doesn't have the cojones to really say it on national television, because even though this is her belief, this is her convictions, this is her real, you know, belief, she can't criticize her Lord and Savior because she might lose her job. Right? As you guys saw on MSNBC, they took a lot of their pro-Palestinian hosts off air. They deplatformed them because they couldn't have these guys going on national television and criticizing Biden's foreign policy, okay? So regardless of whether or not you agree or disagree with Biden's foreign policy, what you're seeing here is a consistent pattern from the liberal media in which if you openly criticize Biden on certain subjects, aka foreign policy, you can lose your job. And this is why you don't see Joy Reid step out of line when it comes to issues not just dealing with Israel and Palestine, but also Ukraine, in which when the war first started, Joy Reid went on air and basically was like, well, the only reason people care about Ukraine is because it's a white Christian nation, and that we should care about all these other conflicts just as much we care about Ukraine, instead of just flat out saying what she really feels, which is that, hey, I don't think we should be dragged into a war on behalf of Ukraine. That's how she really feels. The way that she kind of gets around this is by pulling a race card. Again, this is some pretty cynical stuff from Joy Reid here.
As the world watches the devastation unfold in Ukraine, nearly 4,000 miles away, another crisis is deepening that we don't hear much about in the U.S., and that is the war in Yemen. In March of 2015, a Saudi-led coalition backed by the United States intervened militarily in Yemen in a bid to fight Iran-backed Houthi rebels. It has triggered one of the worst humanitarian crises in the world due to widespread hunger, disease, and attacks on civilians. 4 million Yemenis have been forced to flee their homes. Now, what we're seeing in Ukraine is absolutely the worst humanitarian crisis that Europe has seen in decades. But we haven't witnessed the same type of solidarity for the Yemenis as we do for the Ukrainians. We don't see historic sanctions or global campaigns, corporations like Airbnb and Netflix taking a stand. And this is not to say that we shouldn't care this much for Ukraine. Far from it. The point is we should also care this much for refugees and those facing occupation and war in the Middle East and Asia and Africa, too. The coverage of Ukraine has revealed a pretty radical disparity in how human Ukrainians look and feel to Western media compared to their browner and blacker counterparts. with some reporters using very telling comparisons in their analyses of the war.
It's very emotional for me because I see European people with blue eyes and blonde hair being killed, children being killed every day with Putin's missiles.
The unthinkable has happened to them. And this is not a developing third world nation. This is Europe.
This isn't a place, with all due respect, like Iraq or Afghanistan, that has seen conflict raging for decades. This is a relatively civilized, relatively European, I have to choose those words carefully too, city where you wouldn't expect that or hope that it's going to happen.
Civilized. Okay, let's face it. The world is paying attention because this is happening in Europe. If this was happening anywhere else, would we see the same outpouring of support and compassion? Well, we don't need to ask ourselves if the international response would be the same if Russia unleashed their horror on a country that wasn't white and largely Christian. Because Russia has already done it in Syria. This is a teachable moment for us in the media. We aren't afraid to call out our own industry. There is a lot of soul searching that we need to do in Western media about why some wars and lives seem to matter more than others.
Yeah, so Joy Reid should speak for herself, right? Because we can all clearly see where Joy Reid lies on these issues and the fact that she's not really using her platform to do what she claims the media should be using their platform to do. Because when she had an opportunity to criticize Joe Biden for something that she clearly disagrees with, she refused to do it. She deflected back to what MSNBC wants her to do, which is to never criticize Joe Biden and to always criticize Trump and always criticize Republicans. Okay, so what you guys are seeing here is Joy Reid understanding that, hey, this is my role in the Mockingbird media, which is to essentially go along with the narrative, okay, to manufacture consent regardless of my actual beliefs, okay, and I'm going to go up on television and say what they pay me to say. Otherwise, I may lose my job. Again, it's crazy how somebody like her, who I believe is an affirmative action hire, I mean, she admitted that she's affirmative action, right? She's admitted that. She is allowed to have low ratings and to spew overtly racist, anti-white rhetoric on MSNBC all day, factually incorrect information, and she doesn't face any punishment for it, right? But as soon as she steps out of line when it comes to the Democrats and their agenda, okay, criticizing Biden, when she starts doing that, that's when she's in danger of losing her job, right? It's absolutely amazing how that works. Let me know what you guys think. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Most importantly, share a Black conservative perspective. Peace.